You are Locked On Hurricanes Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Hurricane fans? Welcome to your Canes Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. I'm a little hoarse right now, but what a game played by the Miami Hurricanes tonight. What a win, the biggest win we've had in over 20 years. Go into Dallas and defeat the Ohio State Buckeyes, the defending national champion, number 2 in the country, Ohio State Buckeyes, and a huge, huge win for the Miami Hurricanes as they move on into the next round of the playoffs. That's right, with a 24-14 win over Ohio State. It got a little dicey in that fourth quarter. Ohio State proving how good they are, running the ball down the field and Sands making throws. But when the defense needed a big stop, they got it. And when the offense got the ball back with 5:56 left in the game, Carson Beck led them on the drive that closed it out. Carson Beck led them on the drive that sucked the life out of Ohio State and all their fans. And, of course, killed that game clock. And then Marty Brown coming in cold off the bench to just ice it. What a win for Miami. It's not just the win that they got. It's the way that they did it, guys. It's the way they came out and they smacked Ohio State in the mouth from the jump. And, man, if you listened to Dono and I earlier today when we did our pregame, I actually said 24-10 Miami. It's 24-14. I said 24-10 Miami. You can go back and you can watch it. And I said Carson Beck would make the plays that would win them the game, and he did. He made just enough big plays, no negative plays from Beck tonight. How about Beck lowering the shoulder, picking up a couple of first downs, running the football? Malachi Toney did not have a good game at all. A couple of fumbles, got lucky to recover them, but he had 2 huge blocks on that final drive as Mark Fletcher Jr. and Marty Brown put the game away for Miami. And you heard me say it to Alex in the show that we did to preview this game, that Miami's better than Ohio State on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I said it. I'll play it 100 times because I was right. They absolutely dominated up front tonight. Ohio State had those scoring drives in the second half that obviously they played pretty well offensively. That last drive of the second quarter where they missed the field goal, and then the 2 long touchdown drives, right? And you're thinking, wow, Miami's not getting much going. They missed an obvious pass interference call on C.J. Daniels late in this game that actually could have put the game away a lot sooner for Miami. But what a win for the Hurricanes. We're here to break it all down on your postcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number 1 sports podcast network in the world. And of course, Locked On Canes is the number 10 channel on a network of 220 plus shows, the hard work of one Alex Dono over the years. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern with FanDuel. You see it along the side there, the fantastic finish, the defensive stop, and then the drive, the Carson Beck drive, when Carson Beck really became a Miami Hurricane, when Carson Beck put his name into the history books at the University of Miami with the second straight playoff win. Look at this, right? No double-digit seed had won a playoff game before this year, and now we've won 2 in a row, taking out Texas A&M and Ohio State back-to-back. We get the winner of Georgia and Ole Miss. We'll all be watching that game tomorrow, and that game will be in the Fiesta Bowl in Arizona. So they take out the Buckeyes this week. Now a chance to come back to Glendale, Arizona, and right some wrongs and make some history there. So all kinds of things happening here on your Canes Postcast. What an intro segment this is. The fantastic finish, the closeout from Carson Beck, and the offense. They dominate the line of scrimmage. They outrush Ohio State. Ohio State at -3 rushing yards at halftime. Texas A&M, very similar last week. Man, our defense is good. Our defense is so good. That pass rush, the defensive backs. How about Bain and Mesidor just owning Ohio State up front tonight, man? What a beautiful win for your Miami Hurricanes. Normally I do this about a minute in, and I've already hit a bunch of the talking points, but let's get it rolling with your Canes Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is what you'll be talking about.
We are talking about utter and complete domination from the Miami Hurricanes. We're going to give you some numbers in just a moment. But again, Miami with the 24-14 win over Ohio State. And that was just unbelievable, right? Miami came out and hit Ohio State in the mouth from the beginning. That offensive line, that defensive line from the start, they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. They couldn't get the ball outside to their weapons. They were hitting sand all over the place. And how about Keionte Scott with the pick six, baby? What a play by him. Jumps that wide receiver screen and gone, baby. Just gone to the house. And that was a huge play in the game. Obviously, the defensive score, you remember, Alex said it. And I know all you guys watched our pre-show, right? Alex Dono and me. And Alex said this. He said, look, we're going to have to score one on defense or special teams to beat Ohio State. And yeah, we didn't need necessarily that defensive touchdown because you won by 10 and that's 7 points. But man, Keionte Scott making a profit out of Alex Dono. And I said today, again, I love it when I'm right, and I'll say it again. And you guys gave me a lot of crap after the last show. The Texas A&M game, the win game, Beck was all over the field, didn't make any plays for Miami really in that game. The defense bailed him out in the run game. And, tonight was kind of looking the same way, but I got to give it to Carson Beck tonight, man. He made big throws on conversions. He made big runs on conversions. He lowered the shoulder, John Elway style, to pick up a first down. And, I have to give it to him. Did he set the world on fire? No, but I love the way they came out throwing to Daniels with Tony being double covered so often. But Beck made the plays he needed to make tonight. He was a great game manager. He made the plays when he had to. So I have nothing negative to say about Beck at all tonight. Nothing negative really to say about Dawson in this game. And Dawson and Patricia was the real matchup coming into this game. And, you're like Ryan Day against Heatherman, and that was the chess match all night. But I thought Shannon Dawson held his own against a great coordinator in Patricia, and the Miami Hurricanes just, again, flashed that talent. And when I've been hard on this team, when I've been hard on Mario and Shannon Dawson and Carson Beck, it's because they're that special. They have so much talent to beat Notre Dame the way they did. And Notre Dame and Texas should have been in the playoffs. Hell out of here with this James Madison and Tulane crap, man. Can you imagine if Texas was in the playoffs along with Notre Dame? It's still funny that Notre Dame is not, but it would have been a chance to beat them again, right? So all those people who thought Miami shouldn't have made the playoffs, they don't belong there, they don't deserve it. Clearly, talent-wise, we've proven that we belong. Losing those 2 out of 3 and losing to Louisville and SMU, those were bad losses, right? And I was the first one to say, and had they kept us out, we would have deserved for that to be our fate. But again, Notre Dame did too because they lost those games, and we beat them. Texas A&M beat them. We beat Texas A&M. Now we vanquish Ohio State. The number 2 seed is gone. They lost their conference tournament or conference championship game rather to Indiana 13-10. They didn't score in the second half of that game. Miami's defense just owning Ohio State up front tonight. And credit to the Buckeyes, man, and credit to Coach Day. They came out smash mouth in the second half with -3 yards rushing in the first half. For Ohio State, are you kidding me? When's the last time you saw the Suckeyes dominated like that? And by the way, I want a bunch of people here tonight, but I will not have anything negative to say about anybody tonight. They played their asses off. They balled out. Every drop of energy was spent on every single play by every single guy on that field tonight. And I could not be more proud of this team for what they've done, all these wins in a row after they lost 2 out of 3. Look, they should have never lost to Louisville or SMU. They should be undefeated. They should roll all the way to the chip. That's how I've seen this team. The talent that they have is that level. Carson Beck, the most experienced quarterback left in the playoffs. You knew that he would be on point tonight. You knew he'd be sharp. The weather, not a factor, and you just know they go back to Dallas and get a win, right? They go back to Dallas in a place where they lost earlier this year to SMU, and they get that win. So the ACC, people saying the ACC didn't deserve a team, and you know how I feel about the ACC. I mean, it doesn't even matter if you're winning the conference or not. But I will tell you this, Miami dominated that first half. In the second half, Ohio State really came roaring back on them. But I will say this, how about Miami holding Ohio State to 45 rushing yards, 1.9 yards per carry for the mighty Buckeyes of the mighty Big Ten. Yeah, GTFOH, if you know what I'm saying. And look, it was a clean game. Only 2 penalties on Ohio State the whole game. None on Miami. No penalties on the Hurricanes. And by the way, they missed a huge pass interference call on CJ Daniels that would have set us up for an earlier touchdown. But, we won the turnover battle 2-1. It helped that Malachi Toney recovered 2 of his own fumbles. Look, if Fletch doesn't fumble in the red zone on that second drive of the game, we blow them out. we blow them out. If you're nitpicking, there were a couple of plays in this game that didn't go our way, and that was a big one for Fletcher Jr., who came back and balled out in this game. And I would love to have seen him get the touchdown that put it away, but how about Marty Brown just coming in to ice it, man? Coming in cold off the bench with a big catch and a couple of big runs on that final drive, spelling Fletcher Jr., who popped out of the game, man. And, you look at Carson Beck in this game tonight, he didn't have a big game, right? Didn't have the huge numbers, and we've kind of gotten used to that from Beck in this offense. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about what Carson Beck was able to do in closing out this game, look, it wasn't about the numbers for him tonight. He had 138 yards passing, 19 of 26, the touchdown, no picks, wasn't taking sacks, really alert out there on the checkdowns and running for a couple of big gains, including a couple of first downs, a big one on that last drive. Malachi Toney, 1 carry for 4 yards and 5 catches for 16 yards. They bottled him up. But how about CJ Daniels, 5 for 49? Keelan Marion, 5 for 36. And just a beautiful, beautiful job. Fletcher with the touchdown reception in this game, had 19 carries for 90 yards, including a couple big runs on that last drive, right? 4.7 per carry. Marty Brown, 5 for 26, 5.2 per carry, all on that last drive that put this game away. And the 14-point second quarter for Miami was huge in this game, as well as they kept knocking Ohio State off the field in that first half. The Buckeye offense couldn't get anything going whatsoever. All right, 24-14, the final. On to the next one. And that will be Georgia or Ole Miss at the Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona on January 8th, a week from tomorrow. We're celebrating New Year's Eve in Miami with a big win for the Hurricanes in the playoffs. 2-0 now, Miami in the playoffs. They knock off number 2 Ohio State, the defending national champs. We're looking to win back-to-back titles for the first time in school history. And so sorry, suck guys. It is not going to happen. Still to come, we're going to take you through all the numbers, the team stats, the player stats, drive by drive, talk a little bit more about the key plays and players in this game who made it happen for Miami tonight. They played like the old school Miami Hurricanes, Yeah, HSBD. If you know what that stands for, you're a true Canes fan. HSBD. Anybody know? Throw it in the chat. You ask Ray Lewis, he'll tell you. You ask Rohan Marley, he'll tell you. You know what I'm saying? You ask Warren Sapp, you ask any of those guys, they will tell you what HSBD means. And that's what they did all over that field to the Ohio State Buckeyes tonight. I am Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Class of 96, baby. Proud of our alma mater and our team tonight for the way that they played. And as much as I've gotten on Dawson and Cristobal this year at times, and they've deserved it, right? But they had this team ready to play tonight. Heatherman, they had this team ready to play tonight. They were fired up from the beginning of the game, tired of hearing about Ohio State and how good and how great. And with all those legends in the house, and with the history of Miami and Ohio State, that the Canes, by the way, 3-2 all-time series leading Ohio State now, you knew they were going to come out and crush tonight. We are just getting started with your postcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Canes Postcast, of course, on the #1 sports podcast network. Going to step aside, take a quick break. Got a couple spots to play for you here, and to read for you, actually. And man, oh man, what a win for your Miami Hurricanes. Much, much more to come on your postcast. Yeah, baby, I get to tell you about FanDuel. And by the way, we are the #1 sports podcast network, the #1 sports podcast network here at Locked On. And this channel, by the way, number 11 out of 200 plus. And with that, I get a chance to tell you about FanDuel. Friday's already a big day, right? It's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got ish to do, but they already feel different during basketball season. And FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel giving you a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour, your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, it's become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new and exciting. Boosts, bonuses, surprises, all those things that you love. It's easy to check the weekly specials before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. Timing's perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts, and adding extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. You got to love that, right? So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping like it's hot during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. That is right. And of course, we are brought to you as well by Game Time. What time is it? Okay, hora. It is game time. Miami showed up to play tonight for sure, right? Nothing like college football season. Tailgates, packed stadiums, road playoff wins, bowl playoff wins. You know what I'm saying? Being right there in the middle of it all. The orange, the green, the energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be really frustrating. Long queues, logins, prices jumping at checkout. That is why Game Time gives the advantage back to the fans. The easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Got another one coming up with the Fiesta Bowl. I opened the Game Time app, looking at upcoming games. Those Fiesta Bowl tickets, not all that unreasonable. Come on out to the desert and let's go Canes. The app is incredibly easy to use. You go from browsing to buying tickets. Bing, just like that. You can get that panoramic view from your seat before buying. You know exactly what your view is going to look like before you buy the tickets. And that is amazing as well. The zone deals, you pick the section, they pick the seats. Got to love that. And seeing college football tickets for as low as $25 makes it easy to plan a game day trip, right? And all those fees up front, you know, the prices, no hidden fees at checkout as well. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Locked On College for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team. Call me Grease. All right, there we have it. For some reason, my overlays are sticking and they didn't get put up for the sponsors, and I apologize for that, but they will not pop up on StreamYard, and we are live. But as we're here, I want to tell you very, very much how much we thank you. You everydayers, newbies as well, but the everydayers, very, very happy to have you. We are the #1 sports podcast network in the world because of you and people like you, so we really appreciate it. You know, we have the Everydayer Club now, which is pretty awesome. So thank you for making us the #1 podcast network. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Canes, and it's compatible with Apple, Spotify, you know what I mean? You get an invite to the members only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server. Lots of great things happening here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I'm ticked at myself because I had the player of the game, the turning point, and whatnot all pulled up, and I did not get a chance to upload those because I just had, I don't know, a momentary lapse of reason or a brain fart, whatever. But I will say this, Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, Canes postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Look at that right there. 24-14, the final. Look at that hit right there. Just all night long, big, big hits. How about the turning point of the game? Carson Beck leads the offense on a drive late in that game, 5:56 left. It's 17-14. Ohio State's got all the momentum. They're on a roll. They're running it down our throats. They're scoring on every drive. Defense gets a stop. Huge in that moment, right? Huge, huge defensive stop. And then Carson Beck takes us down the field and leads us to glory and the victory. So that was the moment right there. Stars of the game, Carson Beck didn't have the huge numbers, didn't make any enormous throws or huge plays, did have the touchdown pass, didn't have any interceptions, picked up a couple of big first downs, but engineering drives and using the running game to do it. Carson Beck was phenomenal. Everything you want out of the quarterback position tonight, except the big plays, which, you know, I think could have been there. And I still think we're going to need that from him moving forward to beat an Ole Miss, a Georgia, you know, an Indiana on the other side. Alabama's in that bracket, right? So many good teams. Oregon still left in there. So when I think about, and Texas Tech, right, obviously. So when I think about this run for Miami, 2 wins already, 2 more, and you're good. But they're going to need big plays from Beck in the passing game. And then they're going to need some things from Malachi Toney, I do believe. But that was huge, that drive that put the game away. So Beck, one of the players of the game, Fletcher Jr., throw Marty Brown in there as well. Fletcher, a beast on the ground all night long in spite of the fumble, had the touchdown, the big run on the last drive to get those chains moving. And then Marty Brown coming in and closing it out. And the other star of the game, all the life got sucked out of the stadium when, oh, baby, Keionte Scott, all the way to the house, man. All the way to the house. Look, Beck hit Fletch for a 9-yard touchdown, and then Sayin picked off by Keionte Scott, 72 yards. No one had a chance to catch him, and huge, right? We talked before the game about our defensive line, Bain and Mesidor. They had no chance to block them, and all night long they had no chance to block them, right? And then the DBs against those receivers, I would say our DBs won that matchup. Look, Ohio State, they had a couple of touchdown passes in the second half. They had a couple of big plays, and Jeremiah Smith got his, but Miami's DBs at least played them to a draw. You had the pick six, right? So at the very least, they played them to a draw. And then we won both sides of the line of scrimmage, dominated, as I said that we would. In fact, I said 24-10 would be the final, and it's 24-14. And I just had a feeling that up front, teams can't touch us. Now, I don't know if Georgia can touch us up front, or Ole Miss for that matter, or Indiana. I just don't think these teams are better than we are up front. So if Beck holds it together, makes a couple of big plays here and there, doesn't turn the ball over, which has been great down the stretch. And, again, not the big numbers, not the big plays, but winning games, winning drives, right? One drive at a time, picking up the first down. And when you're running the ball the way we are right now with Fletch, with Marty Brown, you know what I mean, with Pringle, and the offense is humming the way it is. Look at what Daniels did tonight. Look what Marion did tonight. That opens a lot of things up through that running game. And again, Beck, clean pocket for the most part tonight, keeping that big-time Ohio State defense with 4 first-round picks off of him all night long. So that was really, really good to see. But again, the offensive line and the defensive line dominating. It got a little dicey there in the second half because we didn't make a big play to put it away, plus the fumble in the first half by Fletch in the red zone. But when you look back at this game, the things that you're going to think about the most are the dominance up front, our DBs playing their wide receivers to a draw, really, and maybe we got the best of them, and nobody thought that would be the case unless you listen to Alex and I before the game, and then Carson Beck making just enough big plays to make it happen. No penalties, you know what I mean, and got lucky with a couple of bounces on those fumbles as well. All right, let's hit the numbers real quick. Team stats for you, 18 first downs apiece. Miami 7 out of 14 on third down. Ohio State 3 for 10. Huge for the Miami defense right there. Fourth down, each team 1 for 1. Total yards 332 to 291. Miami with the advantage there. Ohio State with the advantage there. My mistake. 287 to 138. They outpassed Miami. A lot of that in the second half as they were coming back. I want to give you the first half numbers in a moment because we absolutely dominated them. But rushing yards, 153 to 45. That is the epitome of domination on the line of scrimmage. And you look at 4.1 per carry to 1.9. These are the Ohio State Buckeyes. These are the Ohio State Buckeyes from the Big Ten Conference. And they did not run the ball on us. And that was a huge key in this game tonight. Only ran it 24 times, as a matter of fact. 2 penalties for 15 yards for Ohio State. No penalties, no yards for Miami. Fumbles lost, 1 for us, 2 interceptions for them. And again, Malachi Toney had a couple of fumbles that he recovered, and that could have been a disaster as well. Miami had the ball for 7 more minutes than Ohio State. But real quick before, and we're going to go a little bit long here. I mean, this is a lot of fun. Dono's not doing a show tonight. He's overseas, so I am going to keep it here, and I'm going to just give you the halftime numbers real quick, okay? So the halftime stats were unbelievable for Miami, and you just one – and again, Ohio State had that late drive in the first half, but Ohio State had -3 rushing yards in the first half. -3. All right, let's look at the individual stats. Beck, 19 to 26, 138, touchdown, no picks. Fletcher Jr., 19 for 90 on the ground, 4.7 average. Also had 2 catches for 25 yards and the 9-yard touchdown reception. How about Marty Brown, 5 for 26, 5.2 per carry, and the touchdown all on that last drive, putting the game away for Miami. And by the way, Beck was great on that last drive as well. CJ Daniels missed some time with injury this year. Boy, did he step up on the opposite side of Malachi Toney along with Keelan Marion. 5 catches apiece for those guys, 49 yards for Daniels, 36 for Marion. Toney had 5 catches, but only 16 yards. Now, you want to talk about the defense, man. Justin Sayin, 22 of 35, 287, a touchdown and 2 picks for Ohio State. A lot of that came late as they were trying to come back. Bo Jackson, 11 for 55, and 1 touchdown on the ground. Jeremiah Smith, maybe the best player on the field tonight. 7 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown for Ohio State. But look at the Miami defense, man. 5 sacks in this game, 2 for Mesidor, 1 for Bain, 1 for Marquise Lightfoot, and 1 for Wesley Bassane on the blitz. Tackles for loss, Miami had 7, 1.5 by Bain, 2 for Mesidor. Those 2 defensive ends dominating the game. Jacoby Thomas was fantastic. Keionte Scott living up to what he had done all season long with the huge pick 6, and that was in that 14-point second quarter for Miami. All right, we can breathe now, Hurricane fans. We can breathe now. How about that, man? Did you ever have a doubt? I don't know what you guys are doing in the chat. I hope you're having a lot of fun with this, because look, they're getting that momentum, and nobody's playing better than this defense right now. This is the most points Ohio State's given up all year long, by the way, and 7 of them were on defense. But, 17 points scored by the offense tonight. Ohio State did have a big missed field goal at the end of the first half. And just the way that Miami came out and controlled the line of scrimmage, the way they came out and smashed Ohio State in the mouth, they were not ready for that. They're thinking, oh, ACC team, soft team, this and that and that and this. And why are you coming to South Florida to try to get half your team from there, bro? Can you imagine if they didn't have any South Florida recruits on the Ohio State Buckeyes? They wouldn't be anywhere near the top 10, right? But they are going home to Columbus now. And how about this? Notre Dame, gone. Ohio State, gone. Florida, gone. FSU, long gone, right? The Miami Hurricanes still standing right now as we head toward the semifinal round of the college football playoff. And think about this, right? Think about this. This is pretty amazing. The Miami Hurricanes lost 2 out of 3 to Louisville and SMU, and since then, they have just been dominant. They have won every single game. They've looked great doing it. And again, I challenge them every week. I call them out for things they need. Look, Carson Beck needs to make more plays. He does need to make big plays. At some point, he's going to have to. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they can continue winning every game like this. But again, you got to get that big play here and there. You're not going to get a pick 6 every game. You're going to have to make some big plays on offense. And they got away with it tonight. They got away with it, right? But they're going to have to make some big plays on offense, and not just running the ball, right? Some big pass plays down the stretch, and you're playing teams that, they have coming up. And obviously that is a really, really, it's a tough road. I mean, it's the playoff, right? You got Alabama, Indiana, Oregon, Texas Tech on one side. Now you got Miami against Ole Miss or Georgia. And no Lane Kiffin for Ole Miss. And you look at Georgia, they've been great all year. You kind of figure it's going to be Miami and Georgia, then, Alabama, Indiana, Oregon, Texas Tech. But the semifinal berth is clinched. The first team in, the Miami Hurricanes. The numbers in for the ratings, of course, huge ratings, huge numbers of people watching tonight. But, man, the VRBO Fiesta Bowl on January 8th, man, 7:30 Eastern, Miami against Georgia or Ole Miss. I don't even know what else to say about this win, about this team, about that drive. Fletcher with the 19-yard run to get it going when they get the ball with 5:56 left, and Ohio State had, close to within 3, right? Our defense got the stop. That was enormous in this game, right? When the defense got the stop late. And to me, that was what really got that offense going. I mean, that defensive stop late in the game for Miami after Ohio State had literally, you think about it, right? Ohio State had just marched down the field 2 times in a row in the second half. 11 plays, 82 yards, 644, 10 plays, 75 yards, 433. Hell, end of the first half, they had a long drive, 12 plays, 67 yards, and a missed field goal. So 11 for 82, 644, 10 for 75, 433. Think about that, right? 6.5 and 4.5. That's 11 minutes of the game clock. That's defense out there. They're tired. Ohio State with those big double-digit drives, and then you hold them, right? The offense had done nothing, by the way, for Miami. They got the field goal. They got the punt. But when our defense came back out on the field and got that stop, and man, oh, man, what a big play. A big play after big play on that drive from Miami's defense to force that punt with 4:20 left. Then Miami goes 10 plays, 70 yards, 5 minutes, touchdown. Then you get the late interception to seal the deal from Lucas, and that was just awesome, right? A tremendous job by the Hurricanes on the line of scrimmage tonight. I said before the game, we talked about this, right? The line of scrimmage, we win both sides. I said that very clearly that we would, and we did tonight. and also the run game would be better. It was. Carson Beck would make a couple of plays. He did. We'd need a defensive touchdown to win. We got one. And then again, I said 24-10. I believe Alex said, did Alex say 24-17? We were both right on it. And I know you guys are loving this. It's on to the Fiesta Bowl. Arizona hasn't been the best place for the Miami Hurricanes historically. You look at the Penn State game with Vinny Testaverde all the way back in '86 when we were big favorites. You look at the Ohio State game with the pass interference. You look at Arizona beating us 29-0 one year in the Fiesta Bowl. And, man, we have not had a lot of luck in Arizona. So hopefully that'll change. And again, we have the most experienced quarterback left in this tournament, and a guy who at one point in time was the number one quarterback in the country. He's been a national champion. He's been there when the confetti drops, and he played like it tonight. Didn't make the big plays, but Carson Beck played really well tonight and made plays that he needed to make for us to win the game. I still want to see big plays out of the passing game. I really do, and I thought we'd need one or two tonight, but luckily we didn't, and that defense just coming out from the beginning, setting the tone, the wide receivers blocking down the field, smacking guys in the mouth. Miami had more heart. They had more fire. They had more just flair and pizzazz and just steam coming out of our ears, running all over that field tonight. From the start of that game, you could see which team wanted it more. And that team was wearing all white, the Stormtroopers of the University of Miami on the road tonight. What a great, great win for the Canes, 24-14, the final. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Alex for building up this channel, number 11 channel on the number one sports podcast network in El Mundo. And I want to thank all of you, newbies, everydayers, all of you. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like and the bell so you know when we're coming your way with more content. As well, you can join the Everydayer Club, never miss an episode. And I'll tell you what, man, it is absolutely phenomenal right now to be on this run with this team. I didn't see it coming this year after those two losses, especially. And again, Beck's going to have to make some big plays down the stretch, and they're going to have to get more out of that passing game. And I know that they're going to have to, and I know they're going to work hard on it. And hopefully Moten got hurt. Hopefully there's no real injuries. We'll, keep you up to date with that with Alex throughout the week. Locked On Canes podcast. He's coming back across the pond. What a time to be in Europe wearing the orange and green. That's all there is, Canes fans. There is no more. Your Canes postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, 24-14. Miami beats Ohio State in the second round of the playoffs. On to the next one, Miami, as they will take on Georgia or Ole Miss in that next round in the Fiesta Bowl. And the Canes, with the win, of course, go to 12-2 on the season. And hey, that national championship is within reach. A couple of wins away. In the year before the year, if you know what I'm saying, I felt like next year we'd start one of those historic runs, like 35 in a row, like one of those. But this year we'll take it. It's a little early, but we'll take it with the playoff. And by the way, that 2000 team would have won too had there been a playoff. I'm just going to throw that out there. The one that stomped Florida in the Sugar Bowl after losing that one game to Washington when time ran out at the beginning of the season. Yeah, man, I don't know if we'll ever see a stretch like that again, but Mario's working on it, and he didn't do anything to cost him tonight. Mario didn't. The clock management was good. The game management was good. I thought Dawson was pretty good calling plays. So, again, no complaints tonight. I want to see the passing game make big plays. I want to see that get better. But as far as the running game, the offensive line, defensive front, the DBs against those great receivers from even winning that battle, everything played out exactly the way we needed it to tonight. So until the 8th, we'll be back right after that game with your postcast as well. And it's a 7:30 start next week, next Thursday in Arizona, a 7:30 Eastern start. So 5:30 Arizona time as the Canes will play Georgia or Ole Miss in the next round. Enjoy kicking back tomorrow and watching these teams beat the hell out of each other, Canes fans. On to the next one for our Miami Hurricanes. Again, 24-14, the final. Miami beats Ohio State, moving on to the semifinals of the college football playoff. Keep your game tight and your mind right, and always remember, it's great to be a Miami Hurricane.